Do.
Okay, gentlemen, stand by.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, action.
Well, guys, hi.
Hi.
Here we go again.
Hi, Bobbie.
I've never talked with both of you at the same time. It's always been Chevy by himself, Dan by himself. But anyway, we'll have a go at this and see how we make out. Spies Like Us. I've been looking forward to this film because really I've mentioned it in previous interviews when you were working on it. And so now that the time is here and the public is getting ready to see it, Danny, let me start with you. You wrote the story and the screenplay. So at the time, did you have Chevy in mind to do?
Well, this project started a long time ago, just after Blues Brothers, basically. I outlined the story and wrote the first draft with John Landis in mind as director and Belushi in mind as a co-star. Now, even if John and John had been willing to do it at that time, the script was sort of in rough shape and kind of formless. It didn't have this great political kind of scenario backdrop that we have today. Those situations, the SDI and all that, didn't exist back then. And so the script really wasn't ready at that time. John and I went on to do other things, and obviously John was not meant to be in this project. The script was resurrected. Warner's bought it from Universal and reassigned me to write it, and I went away and wrote a draft specifically with Chevy in mind. I showed it to him. He liked it, so there half the battle was won. The movie was on its way to being made. Then Chevy and I got into a room together, actually sat down, wrote line by line together. We wrote the training sequence together. And then we brought in Gans and Mandel, who were the Oscar-nominated team from Splash, and they did a huge amount of work just shaping it and using. When you write in a team, when you've got two guys writing, it provides for that flow of dialogue that you somehow can't get as a solo writer. So their work was entirely necessary. And that draft, again, Chevy and I looked at, and then Landis and I looked at. So it went through a lot of stages to come to where it is now. And I'm very happy with the distillation and very happy that Chevy's on board.
Chevy, wake up there.
Any mail for me? What?
Watching this film, I'm thinking, here we are in the desert.
Oh.
And here we are in the snows of Norway, and I'm thinking...
Pamir Mountains, actually, for the story, but go ahead.
Oh, the where?
It was supposed to be, well, we play Norway for the Pamir Mountains and Morocco for Pakistan. But
yes.
That's
okay.
the illusion, anyway.
Okay, all right. Anyway, we're in the desert and we're in the snowy mountains. So you had to be going from horrendous heat to horrendous
hot
cold.
to cold, yeah.
Yes. All right, so as they say, how hot was it and how cold was it?
Well, extraordinarily enough, in the mountains it was about 98 degrees, very hot.
Sun Valley
In the
time.
desert, it was freezing, just absolutely, it was like 30 below in the desert. So it was a difficult thing to do.
So you're putting me off.
I am.
Well, sometimes mountains do get warm.
It got very cold in Norway, and a lot of our shooting was at night. And we were up high in the fjords, inland from Bergen, which I know we're all familiar with. And I would say it got below zero easily, with the wind chill quite a bit colder than that. The Sahara was more than hot and dry. It was dusty, something I never really knew about that desert. Was you could be caked with dust just after a slight wind change. And that was the hardest part of shooting in the desert. It was just... there were a lot of little tornado-type winds, the kinds of things you get in Texas. They'd just shoot up, and you'd be blinded by it, and your face would just be caked with it.
And
but not that hot, not too hot, very dry.
Always, squirting off the lenses with air and all that. I mean,
It rained for the first time in 6 years when we got there, and there were children who lived there had never seen rain in the desert where we were.
That is true. Yeah, the film unit. That's of course film units love rain. We get there.
One thing you don't want is rain.
Yeah.
It ruins your day.
We get there,
and it rains for the first time in 6 years.
It starts to rain in the desert in the Sahara. So we were blessing the population there with much needed water.
Dan, I see that you have there the cassette, John Belushi's cassette.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts about it?
Well, I just brought it along just in case there were any questions about John, because I can say, I can watch him every day.
There he is.
It's a great tape. It's from Warner's home video.
I don't feel there's enough of me in it, to be honest with you.
598. It's wonderful because it's full of music and also the best things that John did. And what it does is just remind us that we loved him because he was a great performer and a great talent. And
It's beautifully edited. It's really a masterful piece, and you
And,
really come away remembering John as one of the great physical comics,
which is
great,
important,
funny,
you know,
impressionists.
because listen,
There have been so many things written about him that were negative that had little to do with what he gave us.
Exactly.
But this is
very
this is
positive.
really Judy's, his wife's undertaking, and she did it really well.
As you look back at those days, do you get so nostalgic about it and think, gee, they were so wonderful? Or do you look back and say, my God, how did we just ever survive all that hard work? And it had to be arduous.
Well, I got out, after the first year. Dan stuck it out for, what, 5?
4
years?
3 more after you left.
4 years. I mean, it was grueling. And
But
I don't know how he did it.
Most exciting, the
exciting.
heaviest charged up time. I mean, just going in October to Rockefeller Center and knowing what we had to do, and just feeling those crisp fall winds and watching them freeze over the rink, and knowing
I was
that
just there. I just did a second show for Lauren, and the week. I mean, it was an exhausting week, and I realized that after the show, now it's party time, and now everything's. But I realized they've got 20 more to do. I mean, in a row. I mean, it's just, and that's what we were doing, and I remember it was really.
It's not something
really
you can,
tough. It's you can't do it for
go back.
long.
Can't go back easily, really. It's hard
No,
to.
it's hard to go back. Yeah.
This is
Take
better.
a plane. Huh?
This is better. Today is better. Huh?
Oh, I'll tell you something. It's very different. I would, if I could go back 10 years ago, I'd love to relive it again. I mean, but what you can do on live television, particularly when the nature of the times are a polarization in the country, and it's an election year, and you can comment on the immediacy, with immediacy on things and current, because you're live. That's a wonderful showcase for thoughts and talent. Making films, you have a year, before the film is out. So it's different. You're working with different reference points, and you're working on spec more.
And
it's a different kind of a risk, and it's a lot more fun in many ways. But I don't think it's any easier.
The satisfactions are different, because you get immediate gratification when you write a piece and it's on that week.
Yeah.
And here, you kind of have to wait to see what everybody's going to think many months later.
Well, we hope everybody thinks Spies Like Us is a lot of fun.
Well, we know
hope
it
does
is.
well.
It is.
And it's funny.
We had
And
fun.
It's all for
funny.
laughs.
Okay.
And we're going to pay to go see it.
Okay. Good to see you both.
Thanks,
too.
Bobbie.
Thank you.
Okay, pause.
Soliloquy, or we're out of it?
You just keep quiet.
That'll be hard.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, roll.
Dan, did you always have in mind for Chevy to work with you in this movie? Now, here you are in this film. You're going from the desert to the mountains, so I have to ask you, how cold was it? Dan, I noticed you've brought the cassette, the John Belushi cassette, with you. What are your feelings about this cassette of John's? When you look back on those Saturday Night Live days, do you wonder how in the world you ever got through it? It had to be an arduous schedule. What kind of thoughts do you have as you think back on those days? Okay. All right, let's do reactions now. That ought to do it.
Okay.
Thank you.